This year has been quite the year. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted everyone, but I guess with this game we're sticking with the one Zelda game per year. It's been fairly consistent with that so far. So while I did enjoy the first Hyrule Warriors for what it was, a nice little tribute to the series as it was in 2014, speaking of, I've never played Dynasty Warriors, the original series. I guess Koei Tecmo has found success taking that formula and emulating it onto other series. While the original Hyrule Warriors was its own story, this game, on the other hand, was said to take place 100 years before Breath of the Wild, during Calamity Ganon's attack, which Breath of the Wild didn't really divulge into too much. Great, I thought. It'd be interesting to flesh out some characters' histories and see some heroic last stands for the champions. Breath of the Wild began with Link as the single last hope to defeat Ganon. This is not that story. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get into it. Spoiler warning here, skip to this time in the video if you want to avoid spoilers. So we open with a shot of the Calamity happening, but a tiny little guardian escapes through a portal in time. Reminds me of Samurai Jack. This guardian, Terrako, goes back just before the Calamity happens. Link is currently a knight in the Hyrulean army. This is just before he's met Zelda and the other champions. So Terrako coming back causes some events to play out a little differently. Link and Zelda still meet, although Zelda's nowhere near as hostile to him as she was originally. Now that they have images of the future they face, Zelda's determined to not let it come to pass. As it turns out, we get to see what was causing the Calamity back 100 years ago, when we meet Astor, who fills the typical role of Ganon's pawn in this game. So it seems to play out like Breath of the Wild's backstory. Link gets the Master Sword, Zelda tries to awaken her powers, the four champions are gathered together. We saw little tidbits of their characters. Urbosa is the mother figure to Zelda, Mipha has a bit of a crush on Link, Daruk is strong but gentle, and Revali is the asshole who nobody likes but is good at what he does, so they keep him around. Here's the thing about Link. This isn't really his story. Yeah, he's going for the motions, gets the Master Sword, all his usual deals, but I'm also starting to think that Link is really being hampered by the fact that Nintendo is insisting that he remain a silent protagonist. Here's the thing, while the silent protagonist was a way of allowing the player to project themselves onto the character, it was also partly due to the technical limitations. Link, I really do feel that they've taken him as a silent protagonist as far as they can possibly go. In fact, at the end of Breath of the Wild 2, I think Link is going to talk, and it's going to be a big moment. I'm getting off topic. This is Zelda's story. We get to see more of her insecurities, her fears, her relationships with the others. In Breath of the Wild, we only had allusions to this via journals or flashbacks. But now we get to see it more in depth. In fact, this is actually reflected in her gameplay too. She starts off weak and unable to really do much help. But as we've seen, powers tend to activate when someone you love is in trouble. Of course, the inevitable ship tease is a thing. Yeah, I admit I don't mind ship tease when it's for a ship I like. Call me a hypocrite if you want. But it's true. Then again, I make sure not to ship anything. Every time I do, I'm proven utterly wrong. Ugh. Now, don't get me wrong, I like that they've done this for Zelda, and they have made Zelda more important to the storyline over time. Probably started with Ocarina of Time. However, that being said, there are some shortcomings. For example, we all know that the champions all died in their fights with the Blight Ganons in the original timeline, but here they are saved by the timely intervention of their future counterparts, Sidon, Yonobo, Ruju, and Teba, which shows that Link did succeed in freeing the Divine Beast before he went to fight Ganon in the original timeline. I will say it is interesting to see the new champions interact with their past counterparts, and Teba gets to see just what Revali was really like, and he's not too enthralled by what he sees.
But I suppose it's better that you were here. I never thought the champion would be so...
Hold that thought for now.
This also sees the Yuga clan change sides to help Link and Zelda because Astor is sacrificing the Yuga clan for Calamity Ganon. My favorite part of the story is seeing that Ganon is still a scheming master planner. That's when he's at his best. While I get the appeal of him as a mindless beast, I definitely prefer when he's manipulating everyone to his advantage. The story is okay. It's fine for what it is. A nice little what if Calamity Ganon was stopped. It's just not in Nintendo style to do an ending where everybody dies. The graphics are well done. They really capture the look of Breath of the Wild quite well. While the original game had its own art style, this game adheres more closely to Breath of the Wild, which is appropriate because it's a prequel. Or was a prequel. And when docked, it runs at 60 frames per second. While playing in handheld, I didn't notice any particular dips, so I think the issues people were having in the demo were ironed out. I definitely think going forward, games should push for 60 frames per second over graphics. What I do love is the landscapes of the battlefield. Seeing what Hyrule looked like 100 years before Breath of the Wild really highlights how some parts of civilization didn't even exist when Link woke up. The gameplay is a nice little mix between the original Hyrule Warriors and Breath of the Wild. Attack and do massive amounts of damage. One thing you're going to have to master is the dodge and flurry rush ability. That will save your life more often than not. Link is the only character who has more than one weapon style at first. He has one-handed swords, spears, and two-handed weapons, but once I got the Master Sword, that was pretty much all I used. Every other character has their perks too. Rivali and Teba use crossbows, Urbosa and Ruju are about using lightning attacks, Mipha and Sidon rely on using water attacks, and Daruk and Yonobo mainly rely on brute strength. Before any of you mention it, yes, I know Impa does the Naruto hand signals. Cute, I suppose. There's a large list of characters, and I managed to unlock everyone, and quite a few of the roster choices took me by surprise, and I won't give them all away for you. And some felt really unnecessary, looking at you, Hetsu. It took a lot of grinding to be able to get them all. Unfortunately, only Link has a wide variety of costumes. If it was a costume in Breath of the Wild, then it's a costume here. You see, while Hyrule Warriors 1 was a love letter to all of Zelda pre-Breath of the Wild, this game is a massive love letter to Breath of the Wild, its world, its characters, and its lore, and that's fine. I know not everybody was happy that this wasn't a prequel, but I'm fine with it being what it is. One thing I do wish was different was the level up system. Link was far ahead of everyone. I even got him to level 100. Everyone else had to use the dojo to catch up, and that cost rupees. I guess some games don't like to do a shared level up system, but in this game, it costs money. That means you have to be spending and grinding for. There's nothing quite as wonderful as money, they say. I wonder if rupees have any value to real world stuff. Like, how much does it cost to live in a house in Zelda? Must be cheaper than here. One thing you're going to have to rely on is the Sheikah Slate. And in fact, at first, it's Zelda's entire moveset. What I really do appreciate is that each character uses it differently. Link will throw multiple bombs, while Impa will drop a big one down from afar. It does play into giving these characters different strategies. Link's Chronosis is used for counterattacking, for example, and it gives characters unique playstyles. One thing I found myself doing was grinding a lot. Unlocking missions and movesets for the characters relies on having trophies of monsters, so pick your spot and KO away. In fact, I put over 60 hours into this game, surprising even myself as I managed to do something I've yet to do in the original. I managed to 100% the game. What can I say? I really wanted that green tunic you get for doing everything. Yes, I was that obsessed. For the record, I like how this green tunic looks. A bit of a nod to the original Hyrule Warriors. Now, we shall cover the ending of the game, so skip to this time in the video if you don't want to be spoiled. The final battle of the game has all forces of Hyrule unite against Calamity again, and it's an arduous one. I got memories of Breath of the Wild when the Blood Moon occurred. Bringing all the monsters back to life, it's just typical. But I understand why this is done. It's to give you a sense of, this is the final showdown, so you better be ready. I do like how it emphasizes Link and Zelda working together as a team. Both of their roles are equal. The final level sees Calamity Ganon take possession of a guardian while Aster fights as well. Of course, Aster thinks Ganon is his pawn, but Ganon proves him wrong. I swear bad guys need to realize that they're just pawns to the great evil thing. They never learn. I do like the scene where Link has to fight a possessed Terrako, and it's nice to see just how much it means to Zelda. And oh my god, was that Zelda's mother? We never see Zelda's mother. She only ever has a father. That's huge! Of course, we don't get much, though. What a cock tease. The scene in question is tear-jerking, but we really get to see Zelda's character arc grow. And the final battle with Calamity Ganon is quite epic. I really do like how all of your party members are at the bottom of Hyrule Castle, with both Link and Zelda delivering the final blow. I just love when Link cuts Ganon in half. So epic. So plot is wrapped up, everyone goes home, and it's a happy ending, surprisingly. I guess it works. Like I said, Nintendo wouldn't do an everybody dies ending. So that's Age of Calamity. It's fine. Perfectly entertaining, and a nice little way to satisfy your Zelda needs until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. Whenever that is. Okay, that's all for today. Special thanks to Sabrina of Super Gaming Brothers for editing this video. You may know her as she edits some of Song Call Me Johnny's videos. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please hit that bell, like, and subscribe button. If you want updates, follow me on Twitter or join my Discord, which are provided in the description below. See you next time.